Please join me in welcoming Krister Ungerbock.
My most profound insights did not come while I was the CEO of one of the largest family-owned software companies in the world. They came at the YMCA. A young woman is sitting at her computer and she's typing her responses when she asked me the question, "Who is your emergency contact?" At that moment, I had no one. You see, weeks before that moment at the YMCA, I had walked out on my job as the CEO of the company that I had built and loved. And 2 weeks later, my wife walked out on me. I had spent my entire life mastering the tools of business leadership, and it worked. We built this company that grew 3,000%. We won 5 top workplace awards, and we created over $100 million in shareholder value. And despite all that financial success, that day at the YMCA, I looked in the mirror and saw the leader that I had become. I was a leader with no followers. What had I missed? And so I began a journey, seeking the secrets that had eluded me all those years as CEO. I set out to discover the secret to inspiring followership. And I looked beyond the traditional leadership sources and sought out unconventional communication experts. And what I realized through this process is that if we want to change how we lead in business and in life, we simply change our words. And it was on this journey that I discovered the talk shifts. The talk shifts are little language changes that make a big difference in business and in life. I always thought my heart was in the right place as a leader. The biggest realization is that my words were not. And sometimes it's really subtle changes to the words we use or how we speak them that makes a big difference. Here's a great example, one of the simplest examples of a talk shift. When you start your questions, simply start with the word what or how.
Superb content, terrific structure, best virtual presenter I have ever seen.
I've read 1,000 books. I've interviewed 300 people. Nobody's talking about this.
What did the customer say? What do you plan to say to the customer? What do you plan to do next? How do you plan to solve the problem? All of these questions will lead to much more powerful conversations. If we start asking questions that we're dying to know the answer to, then we'll be more likely to listen to the answers. One of those kind of just general question tips, which was about asking questions on a scale of 1 to 10. And so there's something that happens in the neuroscience behind this is often, especially sensitive questions. I'm going to take a trivial example, but if I was a boss and I asked you, hey, how do you think we have a good communication here at work? And if I'm the employee, like, are there any other answers other than yes to that question? Yes, yes, and yes. Now, if I shift that question and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with our communication? The neuroscience tells us what happens is most people naturally say, well, it's not a 10 because of this. It's not a 9 because of that. It's not an 8. It's not a 7. It's a 6, but he's my boss, so I can't tell him 6, so I'll tell him 7. The important point is in the follow-up question to say, well, what does a 9 look like? What can we start doing or stop doing to be the difference between a 7 and a 9? I met Miles 1 mile before the end of my first ultramarathon. I want to be clear, I did not run an ultramarathon, I completed an ultramarathon. So there's a very big difference. And Miles asked me, he said, what would you have said if I saw you 2 months ago and said, you're going to finish an ultramarathon 2 months from today? And I said, Miles, I would say that that's the version of me that I'd be dying to meet. And Miles said, you know what? You know what happens when you become the version of you that you've been dying to meet? other people in your life will be dying to meet that version of you too. Building better bosses and becoming one is simple. To change how you lead, change your words. And that is the true power of the talk shifts. I use the talk shifts to transform my relationship with my first and worst boss, who also happened to be my father. And I hope that you can use the talk shifts to transform an important relationship in your life.